So Gardner Minshew set a Raiders record yesterday, and everybody's talking about it because he completed over 75% of his passes, which he did. And on paper, it looks like Gardner Minshew had a really good day, minus his interception and fumble for a loss that actually cost us the game. If you took those two things away and you just looked at his statistics, he threw for over 250 yards and completed over 75% of his passes. Therefore, Gardner Minshew is actually a really good quarterback. But those stats and the record that he set with the Raiders of completing over 75% of his passes in his debut as a starting quarterback for the Raiders, well, it's just deceptive. And we're going to break it down and why it's actually not something to celebrate, but something to be concerned about. All that and more on today's episode of the Raider D Podcast. All right, Raiders and Raiderettes, let's dive into yesterday's game against the Chargers and the abysmal play calling of Luke Getsy on the offense, the horrible decisions made by head coach Antonio Pierce, and how the Raiders simply came stumbling out of the gate before we get into Gardner Minshew's stats. I just want to say, first and foremost, as many of the comments in my comment sections of my previous video have stated, it looked very junior varsity level offensive play calling. There was zero ability to run the ball. There was zero ability to stretch the field. And it just seemed like as I was calling the game live for you guys, Luke Getsy would simply call the same plays over and over and over again with just a slight variation, and the Chargers defense would sniff this out and see it coming a mile away, and they would simply prepare for it. They literally had their linebackers crowding the line of scrimmage almost the entire game, and we not one time tried to take the top off of the roof with Trey Tucker or any of our other wide receivers, and this led to a pretty poor performance coming out of our offense, and everybody's seen it. So with that being said, let's get into Gardner Minshew. I don't think yesterday's outing was all on Gardner Minshew, and I'm not putting all the blame on Gardner Minshew. Going for 4th and 1 when we clearly cannot run the ball early in the game, when we're backed up in our own side of the field, that was a poor coaching decision by Antonio Pierce, and it cost us 3 points. Luckily, it didn't cost us a touchdown. However, not going for it on 4th and 1 when we were in striking distance of a touchdown was yet another poor decision from Antonio Pierce. And again, I kind of feel like he wants to be aggressive, but then when he is aggressive, he makes a terrible mistake like earlier in the game, and then he gets ultra conservative because he doesn't want to make a mistake, and you just can't coach that way. If you believe in your guys and you believe in the plan and the system that you've put together, believe in it, and you got to go all the way. With Gardner Minshew, I felt like as I was watching the game that he also was trying to play conservative. He wasn't trying to be Gardner Minshew. He wasn't trying to get out and make plays. He was holding on to the ball way too long in the pocket, and his decision to scramble was just delayed, as though, he's trying to not lose the starting job, so he's going to complete a bunch of check down passes. And this is why his stat...
All right, I got something pretty cool here. There's a company that sent me their product after I seen it, and I reached out to them and was like, man, I got to share this with my subscribers because what you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. If you guys don't already know, countless amounts of e-waste, electronic waste, goes into landfills all across the world and into our oceans every single day, and it is poisoning groundwater as well as wasting resources. And all of that comes from different electronics, but primarily now is coming from telephones, mobile phones, smartphones. When we get rid of our smartphones, where do they end up? Most of the time in a landfill. But there is a company doing something about that. They are turning old phones into masterpieces of artwork. The company is called Grid, and I am happy to showcase what they are doing. This is their iPhone 4S, which is iconic because this came out right after Steve Jobs died. And so people were saying they named it 4S for Steve. And they are turning these old iPhones that otherwise would be filling up our landfills and ending up in our oceans into awesome pieces of artwork that you can hang on your walls. And so guys, you can go and get it. I'm going to leave a link to this product. You're going to save 15% with this code here, and you'll even, when you order one, you'll even get one of these cards so you can enter to win for free to get a special edition of one of these. So an amazing company. They sent this out to me. I absolutely love it. This is going in the office right now.
Completing 75% of his passes is not something to celebrate, but something to be concerned with. And I'll explain here right now. All of his passes, even though he threw for over 200 yards, actually had a better statistical outing than Justin Herbert, who's a much better gunslinger of a quarterback. All of those passes primarily were under 6 yards. Now, I know his average that you will see if you go look it up on ESPN, CBS Sports, Fox Sports, any of those websites, they're going to say his average was, I believe, 7.8, which is pretty good. However, it's very deceptive because most of those yards were yards after the catch. So the wide receiver, the tight end, or the running back, after they caught the ball 3 or 4 yards past the line of scrimmage, we're the ones picking up all of those extra yards. Now, all those extra yards get accredited to the quarterback, and that's what creates this deceptive stat. It makes you seem like Gardner Minshew is throwing the ball deeper than what he really is. Perfect example of that is his little dump off to Alexander Mattison, which was like on the line of scrimmage, and Alexander Mattison made something out of nothing and was able to literally leap over defenders and run in for a 31-yard touchdown. But the pass itself was maximum 1-yard pass. However, those 31 yards get accredited to Gardner Minshew. So when you're throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage, when you're throwing it 1 yard, when you're throwing it 2 yards, 3 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, on average every single time, that's going to give you a really high completion percentage. When the receivers and whoever it is are then running for an extra 10, 15, 20 yards, then it pads your stats. It makes you look like you're a great quarterback, when in fact, you really weren't a great quarterback. And this is exactly why I said that if we're going to use Gardner Minshew in this manner, then what is the point in having Gardner Minshew out there? Because we were told that Gardner Minshew was going to be QB1 because he gave us the best opportunity to come out swinging and get a fast start. We were told that he's the mobile quarterback, that he is the playmaker, that he is going to continuously get us those first downs. However, he did not. And we also did not get in the red zone other than the one touchdown pass to Alexander Mattison. As I mentioned previously, that was all on Alexander Mattison, not on Gardner Minshew, because that was a check down. That was his last option. He could have thrown the ball on several occasions to wide open Devontae Adams, to wide open Jacoby Myers, but he did not do that. Instead, he did check down after check down after check down. Now, part of this also was the game plan that Luke Getsy put together. Luke Getsy put down a bunch of these tight end screens, wide receiver screens, and running back screens, which again pads the stats of the quarterback, because it's really easy to throw a 5-yard screen than it is to throw an over-the-shoulder, on the sideline, 30-yard pass down the field. And we just didn't see any of those from him. And why didn't we see those? Well, because it's not Aiden O'Connell in there. Aiden O'Connell can make those passes a lot more consistently than Gardner Minshew can. And so if Aiden O'Connell would have been in there, the comments are leaning towards the fact that, well, if it was Aiden O'Connell, he would have got sacked 10 times because our offensive line was atrocious. True. However, Aiden O'Connell also gets the ball out faster than Gardner Minshew does. So Gardner Minshew got sacked 4 times yesterday. Maybe Aiden O'Connell gets sacked 4 times as well, but maybe Aiden O'Connell also throws the ball 30, 40 yards down the field 5 or 6, 7 times, stretching out that defense, making those linebackers respect those throws over the middle, and then hopefully opening up some running lanes for Zamir White and Alexander Mattison. And that's why I say, yes, Gardner Minshew set a Raiders record for 75+% completion rating in his debut as a starting quarterback for the Raiders. Kudos to you, Gardner Minshew. We lost the game because all you did was throw checkdowns, and then your receivers ran for yards after catch, padding your stats. I believe that if this is going to be the formula, that Antonio Pierce and Luke Getsy, and apparently Antonio's boss, who's telling him who the quarterback should be in Tom Telesco, then we are going to win very few games. We're going to lose a lot of games. And maybe this is the plan. Maybe we just know we don't have a quarterback and we want to get that first round draft pick high. So maybe we just become the Carolina Panthers and we just lose every single game. I, for one, don't like that strategy. I hope that's not the strategy. If you guys feel the same way, drop a comment down below and let me know. And if you feel differently, again, drop a comment down below and let me know how you feel about it. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.